Hello, this is Jeff from Leathercraft, and today we are going to be creating a belt pouch from a pattern that I created up until its completion. We're going to be using a laser to carve it out, and we're going to cut out the main body with the AlgoLaser Delta, which is a 22-watt laser, and I'm going to be doing the patch with the engraving on it with the AlgoLaser DIY kit. That laser is a 10-watt laser. Now, you might say, okay, great, let's do this. Where's the pattern? I'm not giving you the pattern, and it's not because I'm being mean. It's because I'm really trying to encourage you to start making your own patterns. I have a few videos on how to do this, one in Illustrator and some in Affinity Designer. And it's so rewarding when you start making your own patterns. And it's really not that difficult. It'll be strange at first because you might not be used to the software. But once you start making your own patterns, you're going to be thrilled that you learned how to do it. So let me go ahead and share with you the steps I take in order to create this belt pouch. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, we're inside Lightburn. This is the software I use to control my lasers. You could also create patterns within Lightburn and different forms of art to be able to use on your lasers. But I prefer to use a design software, something that's called Affinity Designer 2. It's a raster and vector design software that I create my Leathercraft patterns, and it's also able to convert them to be able to use with the laser. Now we're back in Lightburn, and I just want to quickly go over the pieces that we're going to be engraving and cutting with the lasers to create this pattern. This is a belt pouch, and it also works as a clutch purse or an over-the-shoulder purse. It consists of 5 pieces. There's the main body piece right here, the front of the purse, the gusset. These are your belt pouch loops. They'll go ahead, there'll be 2 of them, and they'll connect to these dots right here. There's also the patch. The patch is made to be able to be sewn right into this area right here. What's great about having a laser file of a pattern like this is that you could change out that patch anytime you want. If you notice, I have a bunch of patches, and all I do is create this pattern with the laser, and then I could add any patch I want, and it makes it very convenient. So let's go ahead and get these lasers going. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and carve this one. And with this one, I'm going to use the AlgoLaser DIY Kit, and that's a 10-watt laser. I'm going to use the AlgoLaser Smart Enclosure with the 10-watt mini kit. This is an excellent case if you're looking for an enclosure. Now you might have noticed the air assist went ahead and blew the soot in one particular direction, but it doesn't matter because it's going to all wash off. Next, you want to go ahead and cut out the border, because we're going to go ahead and use a background stamp along the edges of this border. It's going to be like a checkered stamp, and it's going to give it depth, and we're going to also use antiquing, so the antiquing will be captured inside the checkerboard pattern, which will give it a nice border, a nice rustic look. This backgrounder tool is B803 from Craft Tool. Just putting this little 3D border around will definitely enhance the patch. If while beveling the border it kind of sticks up because you rubbed against it, just take a modeling tool and go ahead and push it down. Of course, the leather has to be a little wet when you do this. I decided to go with an airbrush to apply the dye this time. The airbrush just has its own distinct look, and you could really get gradients really well when you use an airbrush. So I started off with yellow, and now you see I'm using saddle tan to create the gradient. That, along with the antiquing and coloring the butterfly with acrylic paint, is really going to pop. You'll see when it's done. It's going to take on a whole different appearance. I wanted to go with a dark color around the border, so I went with dark brown, and it really complements the bright yellow, and it also enhances the gradient that reaches into the dark brown border. As you see, it automatically makes everything stand out. Alright, it's time to add some paint. I'm using acrylic paint, and these are just simple acrylic paints that I bought at either Walmart or Michael's or Hobby Lobby. I mostly find myself gravitating towards metallic paints. I just love how they shimmer. And 90% of this image I use metallic paints, and I do slip in perhaps some lime green that's not metallic and some red, but otherwise the way metallic paints capture the light and the way they look with the antiquing just looks really nice to me, and that's why I find that I'm using them all the time. Right now you can't see how well this will pop, but as soon as you put the antiquing in, and all that engraved area where it's brown right now is going to become like a dark brown or almost a black, and it's going to make these colors really pop. Here I'm putting in some of the lime green. Even though it's not metallic, I like how it really sticks out. Now I just put a little paint at the end of my paintbrush, and I'm just putting little dots in different areas. I think they call it dot art. You could look it up on YouTube. There's some people that do like really fantastic pieces with it. All right, here's the painting is done. It looks really cool. I'm happy with the colors. And now we gotta go ahead and protect it by putting resist on top of it. I use RTC resist. And what this does, it prevents the antique paste that you're going to be putting on this from staining the leather any further. So it's going to maintain its color. Now let's go ahead and put the antiquing on. The antiquing is going to make it look very different. It's going to get into all those crevices along the butterfly and in the border. And you want to make sure you get all those little areas. Wipe it off. I personally use a wettish towel. And look how much cooler that looks. It makes everything pop. Now all those colors are really coming out. The border looks really cool. It gives it more of a 3D impression. All right, let's go ahead and start on the body. We're going to need some lace for this in order to lace it up. So I don't know if you have a lace maker, but I recommend getting one. They're very inexpensive, and making your own lace is a lot less expensive than purchasing your own lace. Plus, if you have a particular leather you're making something out of, you could always match the lace to the leather because you're creating the lace right from the leather you're using. For this particular pouch, I needed 25 inches of lace to do each side. I didn't have a particular formula to draw that conclusion. I just made a bunch of them and I narrowed down the exact amount I need. I'm sure if I measured the gusset itself and the spacing between the stitching holes, I could come up with some sort of formula, but as of now, I really can't help you with that. As far as starting this off, you want to come through the front into the back, and you want to pull the excess over, because what you're going to do is you're going to end up weaving that excess into the lacing as you lace it. That way it's actually held firm and it'll stay there really well. I don't want to make this video too long, so to do this in real time, is just going to take a long time. Plus, it's pretty self-explanatory at this point. You're also going to have to backtrack and keep tightening it as you go. So you want to go back to some stitches and then go ahead and tighten it. When you're done, it should look something like this, which kind of like a ripple effect. Nice and tight across the gusset. When you're done, just go ahead and cut out the needle. At this point, I'm going to put in the belt loops. You could have put these in prior to putting on the gusset, but it's not in the way. But it would most likely be easier if I would have done this prior to it. I just forgot. We're going to be gluing the patch to the front of the bag. So for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and use my leather rougher to scratch the front where the pouch is going to be placed. This helps the glue adhere much better than if we do not do this. One technique I use to make sure all the holes are lined up is I'll put a small flashlight underneath the actual stitching holes, and when the light shines through, I know that I have got it where I need it. At this point, I want to put some weight on it, so I take these flat boards, put it on top of it, and I take my anvil and go ahead and put some pressure on it. You don't have to leave it there for long. I like to wait around 10 minutes. I went ahead and used the saddle stitch, and I started the stitch in a place where the antler will mostly be covering up. That way, in case it's obvious that this is where the stitch started, it won't be noticeable because it'll be behind the deer antler. Then I melted the stitch and closed it up. At that point, it was time to put the front on, and I went ahead and laced it just like I did the back. Remember to keep tightening it. Just pretend like you're tightening shoelaces in each hole. And then when it's done, you want it to look kind of like a clamshell that's a little bit open. It's going to have ripples and waves. Now all we need to do is add the deer antler chip to the front and the lace that goes in it. This is really a simple pattern. You could make patterns, I'm telling you, and you're going to have a lot of fun doing it. Once you have that laser file, you can repeat it endlessly, and it's going to come out the same way every time you go to engrave and cut it. Putting the deer antler in is very easy. I drilled 2 holes in them. You could buy these with the holes already drilled in if you need to. They were easy to drill through. And I bought them off of Etsy, and there's quite a few people that sell them. I have one particular person I've been buying them from. If you're interested in who that is, just go ahead and leave a comment, and I will share the person I get these from. Once you have the lace through the 2 holes on the chip, go ahead and put them through the 2 holes that were created on the pattern. And you want to leave a little bit of space because you're going to be wrapping another piece of lace around that. So what I use a little spacer. It's just a little piece of wood. You could use a paintbrush if you want. What I'm using is, it's a hair barrette stick. You know, for people that use hair barrettes, this is the stick that attaches it to the hair. And then on the back, I'll go ahead and tie it twice. I'll go in both directions to make it so it's, you know, a nice strong tight tie. And now I'll go ahead and do it again in the opposite direction. You want to make sure this is really tight, and you want to make sure that spacer's there, because if the spacer's not there, it's going to pull the chip all the way to the actual pouch, and it won't leave any space for the lace to tuck under there. I wanted to make sure can be as tight as possible. Careful, this stuff will break. So you just, it's pretty strong depending on what you're using. This is buffalo. This pouch is made out of buffalo, by the way. And the actual patch is made out of vegetan. See how there's a small gap right there? You see? You're going to take advantage of that gap because you're going to run another piece of lace through it. I'm not going to cut the top piece yet, just in case I need to adjust it. Now we're going to go ahead and put in the other piece of lace that's going to act as the strap. This piece I found I needed to be 19 inches. And you want to put it in the holes on the side or the front of the pouch. And you also want to run that through the bottom. And you want to make sure it's straight too. If you saw, I just twisted it so the flesh side is aiming out as much as possible. And once you get this through into the other side, you want to make it even. So you're going to stretch both pieces at the same length. Just like that. Now you know how much space that you're dealing with because we're going to put some metal ornaments on the bottom. These I bought off of Amazon. There's a whole bunch of different types. Some of the companies sell like a collage of them all at the same time, but they definitely make a pouch like this look really nice. I put 2 on each side and I mix them up, and a lot of times I just grab what just is appealing to me at the time and just throw it on there. You want to also make those as even as possible. It's not going to matter too much because you could always adjust it because they're tied to the same piece of lace. And after you get them on, you're going to put a nice knot at the very bottom of them, as you'll see me do in a second. Let me just get these on both sides. There we go. And now I'll go ahead and tie them up. One knot on each side is plenty. You just want to make the ends to be a similar length so it looks good. You're trying to keep things symmetrical. All right, got them both tied down. Let's go ahead and put the flap over, put the lace tie on there, and then you just pull down and it snugly fits. I got these clasps off of Amazon. The strap comes off, of course. I put them on my affiliate link page for Amazon. If you feel like supporting the channel, go ahead and check it out. Here's the completed project. There's the belt loops for your belt if you want to wear it on the belt. And here's a group of some of the ones that I made. And I have more. Like I said, it's easy to change the patch once you have the pattern down. I'm going to encourage you to get a laser. A 10-watt laser is only a few $100s, and it's going to be so helpful for your leather crafting. You're going to be able to do a lot of things you didn't realize you could do. I've got those videos to teach you how to make patterns. Just go ahead and take a little effort and do that because you're going to be thrilled the fact that you can do this. Once again, thank you very much. Like and subscribe, as they always say. Truly appreciate it. It does help. And I'll be making more videos. Thank you. Take care of yourself and others.